show you how to use our Winter Wreath mould. It's got lots of different pieces on it, as you can see, for making up Christmas trees, garlands, lots of different Christmas decorations for your cake. So I'll show you how to use the mould. Put corn flour into the mould, okay, and then tap it out so there's not too much. Then I've got some red paste. This is our own sugar paste that I've coloured with red paste colour. So I just need to soften that up, get it pliable. Just knead it till it's smooth. That's ready now. So if I just flatten it out slightly, pop it onto the mould and start to press in. If you find your fingers are sticky, sticking to the paste and lifting it, just put some corn flour onto your fingers as well. And then carry on. Okay, so it's too much, so I'll show you how to take it off. Just keep pushing it over to the side. And then I don't bother with a knife, I usually just use my thumb like this to push it off. And that's ready to come out now. I've made sure it's going right into the edges, but not over the edges, and it's flat at the back. So I'll just hold the corner, turn it over, and it drops out. If you haven't got our sugar paste, you would need to add Tylo or CMC to your paste to firm it up. So I can actually paint this now, dust and paint it, unlike the leaves, the tree branches, sorry, that I'm going to show you later. So I just want a little bit of green powder, just for the edges here, and then maybe some red as well. So we just brush it onto the kitchen paper so there's not too much, and then brush over the flour, give it some depth, and I'm removing corn flour as well as I go. That just deepens that colour, gives a really lovely deep colour adding the powder. Okay, and then the centre, I just want to put a little bit of green into the centre as well. So I've got a slightly paler green there. And then some gold. I'm going to paint the stamens with some gold powder. So I've just added a little bit of alcohol to it. I want it quite dry, I don't want it too wet because I don't want the colour to run. So I've just gently brushed those stamens with the gold powder, and that is now ready to leave to set to go on the cake. If you wanted to, you could snip it a little bit with your scissors like this. These are curved tweezer scissors, and you see the difference that makes. Just gives it a little bit more depth and detail. Okay. The branches for the tree, the fir branches. We've got a large one here and a small. This is corn flour in the pouch that I've just dusted the mould with. So I'll tap that out so there's not too much. So I've got some green paste. I've coloured our own sugar paste. We've got vanilla or marshmallow flavours. They both work exactly the same. Now, if you haven't got our sugar paste, you would need to use a modelling paste. This is firm. Our own sugar paste is firm and not too sticky, so it works perfectly in the moulds. This is going to be too much for this little piece here, but I'll show you how to take some off. So I've just started to press into the mould. I use these two fingers to press the paste in mostly. Push it along. I don't worry too much about the edges at first. I've just taken that off with my thumb, the excess paste. And then I'm just brushing back with my fingers to make sure it doesn't go over the edge. Because it's quite an uneven edge, it is quite tricky to see, but that's okay, that's fine. So that's ready to come out. So you just turn the mould over, pull back, and that's how easy it should come out. I'm going to just turn the mould over and show you on here rather than on the green board so it's easier to see. You can leave it like this now to set a little bit, but I like to snip it with scissors, okay, to lift the branches up. You can do anywhere really, round the edge as well. On the edge, if you want to make it look even more detailed, you can actually cut out little triangles of paste. And then turn, these are curved tweezer scissors, so turn them over that way for the other side. And then snip anywhere really. When I first started to do this, I used to look for the different needles very carefully, but it doesn't really seem to matter where you snip, it becomes a needle anyway. So that now you can leave to set a little bit, just to dry and set. So that will be set enough. By the time I mould a few other pieces and colour, that will be okay later to do. So the big one is exactly the same really, just lots of paste, a bit more than the other one. Get it nice and smooth. And then press in. So I'm doing it as quickly as I can. Get that in. So there's so many different designs you can do with this. I'll show you some later on at the end of the video, some of the cakes that we have decorated using this. Let's take that off. And then again, just go along, tidying up the edges, making sure it's not going over too much anywhere. And then that's ready to come out. So turn it over and bend. If yours doesn't come out that easily because you're not using our paste, just add some more Tylo or CMC powder to your paste. And the same again now, you see, just snip wherever with the scissors. When you snipped, you can actually push the needles up as well if you want to. Okay, this also looks nice done in white for a snowy tree, which you will see one later on. Okay, so I'm going to do the holly now. I've got a big piece of holly here, so just again with the corn flour, tap that out. But I'm actually going to put two different colour pastes into this piece of holly, so the berries look nice and bright, rather than trying to paint the green paste later. So I've got a small piece of red coloured paste. I'm pushing behind with my finger so it opens out. Put that in and press firmly. Just make sure it's not going over the edge because you don't really want the berries going into the green anywhere. So you can put a very, very small amount of water or glue just there. And it's got to be very, very small. And then the green paste, again, knead it, get it nice and smooth before you put it in. And then if you think, oh, it's a bit of an awkward shape, try and make that shape roughly so it makes it easier to press into the mould. Okay, it doesn't matter that it's too big. You can just take it off with your thumb and push that back where it's stretched over. And then the same into this one. And then the same here. Sometimes I worry about pressing too much. Where there's another colour paste behind, I don't want to press too hard and push it out of place. So you can, if you want to, snip that thicker bit off in the middle with your scissors. Okay, that saves disturbing the red paste underneath. So that's ready to come out now. So just turn it over, bend the mould, and there's your holly. If you do see any red paste, just push it in underneath, okay? So that can be dried on some dimpled sponge if you want to bend the holly leaves into a nice shape, more natural shape rather than really flat. So also on the mould we've got some little Christmas roses. I'll do one of these here. This is the big one. Oh, it's just one. I'm getting confused actually. It's one Christmas rose. There's two sizes of holly, two pieces of mistletoe, two or three acorns. So we just press that in, and again turn it over, and you've got your little Christmas rose there. Okay, so what else? The acorn. We need some brown. So again, dust with the corn flour. Put your brown paste in and take off the excess. And press firmly. And turn over, bend the mould. And there's your little acorn. So if we missed anything, just the mistletoe. Again, with the mistletoe, you can put the two different colour pastes in if you want to. So we put some white into the berries. And the green behind. And again, you do need a tiny little bit of glue at each end. I'm going to put each leaf in separately actually. I think it will make it easier. So we have 1 and 2. And then I'll push the excess up to the end and take off. And the same there, that's just the right size actually, we don't need to. Okay, and then turn over and bend, push out, and there's the mistletoe. So, oh, one last thing, the holly leaf. I'll just mix a little bit of green and white together there just to make the green a bit paler, because it is nice to have a shaded ivy leaf. So some corn flour, put the paste in, take off the excess and remove. Okay, so to colour them, they're either going to be brushed with powder colour or painted. So I know I've just done the holly leaf, but I'll start with that one first. So we can just put some green powder into the centre, and there you've got your variegated ivy leaf. And then the holly, again with the green powder, I just like to brush around the edge of the leaf. It helps remove any excess corn flour that's there as well. And then maybe just a little bit up the centre vein. Okay. And the same with the mistletoe, we can just brush. The leaves should be paler on the mistletoe, so you don't need much dark green on there. The berries, you can actually put a little bit of white lustre onto the berries. And then the Christmas rose, I like to just put a little bit of green around the centre. And then all over with the lustre. And then I'm going to paint the centre stamens on this with some gold powder. I'm just going to mix it with a little bit of alcohol. Onto there for a nice Christmas rose. Okay, and then the tree branches that I did earlier, these aren't really very dry, but if you get some green powder on your brush and then brush up, you see the difference that makes? It really brings out the different needles, especially the ones that you've snipped, cut up, okay? And then the fir cones, again, you can just brush with some brown powder over the top. You could make this in a lighter brown. You'd see the detail really, really well with some dark brown powder over. And then when they're on your cake, you can arrange however you want them to look, okay? And I'll show you some of the cakes that we've made, decorated using this mould. This tree has been very popular this Christmas. I've used the branches from the Winter Wreath mould and the poinsettia and the Christmas rose to decorate it with some of the holly as well. The tree branches, it does take a lot of tree branches because this cake is actually about 16 inches high. So I think I moulded about 45 of the large and maybe 10 of the small tree branches. There is a lot of waste off the cake because obviously you're shaping them into a cone shape when they're stacked together. But the cake is covered with sugar paste, and then the tree branches are attached with a wedge of sugar paste underneath to help them stand out a little bit. So we've put a star on the top, just cut out a star several times, cut them in half, joined them together on the top. The trunk at the bottom of the tree is the rustic bark mould. We've also got a birch mould for your tree trunks, which you will see in a second on the next cake. This very cute birdhouse, it's got the birch mould for the tree trunk. Alice has actually cut a little hole in the front there for the birds to go into, the little robins. We've used our Lovebirds mould for the robins. The roof is the rustic wicker, which you can only just see peeping out from behind the snow, the royal icing we've put on top for the snow. Round the bottom, the winter wreath has got a sort of frosty look, which you just, if you colour the paste first and then brush your pearl lustre over the top, it gives it a lovely frosty cold look. This simple 2-tier cake, it's very easy to make. We've got the head from the rustic stag mould and the winter wreath just as a decoration around the base of the lower tier. Alice has used the birch mould for the bark on the cake, and we've used magic sparkles to finish it off with a lovely edible glitter for the snow. This tree is the same as the traditional green tree that I showed you before. Made exactly the same way, but with lots of white branches brushed with lustre and some magic sparkles sprinkled onto the branches to give it a glittery appearance. I've decorated it with our bow mould and our snowman head border mould. You can mould the heads and separate them to use as cupcake decorations, little miniature cookies, lots of different things. But this just shows another way of using our winter wreath mould for your Christmas trees.